This is a plate of fruit I'm holding. You want to know why I'm holding a plate of fruit? My girlfriend recently told me that in order to get more stickiness to your content, apparently studies have been done where it shows that if you hold something at the beginning of your video, people will keep watching. This is a plate of fruit. I'm holding it so you'll keep watching. Let's get going. This is a serious topic today. Put on your big boy skirt, okay? Because we're talking about the difference between self-harm and the Buddhist concept, principle, teaching of no self or no ego. Fasten your seatbelts, put on your big boy skirt, here we effing go.
I said big boy skirt, I said big boy skirt, I said you better put on your big boy skirt. Now oh, there is such a thing as a big boy skirt. Okay.
So listen, cowboy, listen, cowgirl, listen, cow-they. Here's the deal. Back when I wanted to be the Hunter S. Thompson of Generation X and do gonzo journalism and expose the ills, greed, and spiritual flatulence of our society, I learned that in reporting there is like the rule of threes, okay? So let's say you notice 3 tofu sushi shops open up in your neighborhood. Oh my gosh, it's a trend. You write a piece about that trend. Or you notice 3 people walking down the street with football helmets on. Oh my gosh, it's a trend. Let's write about the football helmet on the head trend. Okay, whatever it is, if it happens in threes, you can write a piece about it. Well, something has recently been happening. I've noticed it not in 3s, but in 5s. I've noticed it 5 times, okay? Now listen, I recently turned 25 years old. 25 and some change. A lot of change. 25 more in change. Basically, I'm an old guy, okay? So I have not researched this phenomenon, and I specifically did not sit down and research this phenomenon because I don't want to know what the internet says. I want my brain to be pure and clean and free as I unpack this topic and we explore it a little bit today. Okay, what did I see? I was on a beach in Croatia, where my girlfriend is from. We took a little trip to Croatia. We're sitting on a beach, right? And I saw this woman. She was a young woman. She must have been a teen. She's certainly a teenager. She had dreadlocks. Apparently there's no cultural appropriation in Croatia, which is 98% white or more. So, dreadlock girl is in her bathing suit. I walk past this teenager and I look at her arm. Okay? And it is covered in self-harm scars. Now, there's nothing else that this could be. It was very clear. A razor had been taken, and this young woman had self-harmed. And there were a few things that blew my mind about this experience. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm in the shot fully, and I don't want to stop my flow, because I really want to get this across, so I'm going to slouch. Two things were utterly shocking to me about this. One of which was, it reminded me of a ledger. It was like an ancient ledger of a book made of flesh. And these were scars on the book made of human flesh. And it like spoke a story. I mean, each one of the scars on her arm in these very clear, very geometric rows probably told a story. So it went all down one arm. Oh, actually, I think it was like right here, right? And then it might have also been on her forearm, and it was also up and down her thighs, okay? I was just totally shocked. And we were there with my girlfriend and her 19-year-old son and his 2 19-year-old friends. We were hanging with the youngs at the beach, my girlfriend and I. Oh my goodness, maybe you've just thought you might not tune in. I'm holding something. You've got to keep watching. I'm going to keep holding it, okay? So I brought this up to everybody. The youngs didn't have a response. I didn't push it. My girlfriend said, It couldn't have been self-harm. It's something else, some kind of disease. I know it when I see it. Okay. It happened one more time when I came back to Vienna, and then it happened 2 more times. I was sitting at a bus stop. I was driving my bike, like a little European with my little basket in the back. I mean, when I was young, I might have thought maybe I would have a Ducati motorcycle or a Harley Davidson, something. Not like a little Wicked Witch of the East bike with a basket in the back that I can put Toto in or something. Anyways, I was on my bike. They've got great bike lanes here. I was driving down Schüttelstrasse, and we stop. And me and the fellow bikers, we stop at a stoplight, right? And there's this nice young person in front of me, kind of donning that gender-neutral look that is popular now, elegantly dressed, clean. Like sometimes you just look at somebody, you think they look smart. They looked I think that she looked very clean cut. Okay, they looked very clean cut. And then I looked and I saw all down the leg the same thing, these self-harm scars, all down the leg, lined up in rows, that ledger of suffering, of pain, of relief, of a new, so self-harm is not new, but here's what I found interesting. What I found interesting was that none of these kids were hiding it. None of them were ashamed of it. None of them seemed concerned. Like you can cover, like they were wearing practically no clothes. Yes, it's very hot, but you know, there would be ways to cover your shoulders. You don't have to wear the tank top. And they seemed not like punkers in the 80s. Remember punkers? Like they throw shit in your face and they're nasty and mean, right? Wasn't that vibe at all. Actually, they seemed pretty healthy. Pretty, they were smiling. I don't know. You get a vibe from a person. I trust intuition, instinct, and vibes a lot. You get a vibe. So, wow. Self-harm is a thing. Put comments in the comments section if you noticed something like this, if you see flaws in my observations or shortcomings. I'm sure there are some. Like I said, I did not feel like researching what the youngs are doing. I just wanted to have a raw reaction to it. And I just gave my raw reaction to you. What's up, cuz? Homie, got a plate of fruit. I'm holding something. I'm holding 2 things. I bet you're spellbound. This is like the cassette in Infinite Jest, where once you put this cassette in, you're spellbound for eternity and you can't look away. David Foster Wallace's novel Infinite Jest, a metaphor for our addictions in contemporary culture, including addictions to media and pharmaceutical drugs. This pear has a brown spot on it. I'm going to hold that one. Listen, one of the things we talked about on that vacation to Croatia, my girlfriend and I, when we went with her son, and there's the other 3, we'll call them the trio of youngs. One of the things that the trio of youngs talked about is that in this day and age, everything has been done, and there's a group for it online. So it's like there truly is nothing new under the sun now that we have the internet. It's already been written about, filmed essays about it, and recorded and spoken of extensively. So, I mean, full disclosure, self-harm is nothing new. I had a couple moments of self-harm when I was in high school, which I'll briefly share with you here. It was after my grandfather died, and I was having some trouble with my parents, but also I was infused with like that energy that you have when you're young and you're discovering this tool called human thought, right? Like before that, you're just an idiot running around having the time of his or her or their life, right? You're a kid. You're like you're like an insane person. Like everything is extreme suffering, pain, and horror, or absolute, unmitigated, unbridled joy. And then suddenly, your body gets bathed internally in chemicals and hormones, and you cock-a-doodle-doo starts getting big and there's a ring around it. I remember when the red ring started to appear around mine, and I thought it was possibly punishment for certain behaviors. But it turns out it was just puberty, right? And women, of course, suddenly you start bleeding, right? One day you begin to bleed your body and the earth says, hello, welcome to my cycles, right? So, and you have to start thinking when this happens, when you become a adolescent Frankenstein, right? And I discovered thought, and I was both having some, family troubles, as well as I was like a slot machine, not like a slot machine, like, you pull the lever and the coins of interesting ideas come out when you're young because every idea is new. So I had all this stuff going on, and my grandfather died, and I remember I wanted to mark the occasion, and there was a lot of self-hate involved, as I had low self-esteem, very low self-esteem, which is a long story. I'm laughing because the way I tried to solve this low self-esteem was by subliminal messaging cassettes where bad music played, and underneath it, supposedly at a subliminally audible level, there was some guy who recorded this in a booth somewhere saying, "You're great. Keep trying, kid. You're wonderful. I love you. I love myself." I don't know if that's what he sounded like, but that's because it was subliminal. But I would say that I self-harmed with a razor. No, it wasn't a razor. It was a knife. It was a jackknife. I was trying to change something about myself, and I wanted to mark the occasion of my grandfather's death. I wanted to say that to my ancestors that I was going to be different. I was going to break the Hobner hex, as my father calls it. So I did it a few times, and there was blood, and there was a visible wound, and I think even maybe one of my family members noticed it. And then the experience of self-harm lost its charm. And I didn't have an internet group that would send me notifications on my phone. Hey, did you self-harm today? I didn't have a identity firmed up by and fleshed out by an online community. It was just me in my bedroom trying some shit out, moving through it, and discovering new ways to be a screwed up teenager. I think that exiting the innocence, the Garden of Eden of youth is the process, the activity of returning yourself to the universe. Becoming an adult is a lifelong practice. I really feel like Zen is just the practice of becoming more and more of an adult until you're a Zen master. In the Rinzai school, Zen master, the term is Roshi. It's a very specific term in my Zen Buddhist lineage, the term Roshi, and it means great parent. And how do you become more and more adult? In the Zen school, you become less and less selfish. Becoming an adult, I think, is the process more and more of growing up out of ourselves and out of our selfishness. And supreme maturity, from the Zen point of view, I would say, or I learned, I think, is that the self is, my teacher used to put it like this: there's the mother principle, the inner principle, the infinitely small or intimate principle, the source, right? The source, where there's no inside and outside, self or other in the source. All things are one. There's that mother principle. And then there's the father principle, which is on the outside, which is infinitely big and infinitely distributed. infinitely overmuch. It's the 10,000 things of the cosmos, right? It's infinity out there. It too has no inside or outside, right? So you've got the infinitely dense or intimate and the infinitely scattered or large. And my teacher would, in somewhat anachronistic, patriarchal, gendered terms, call this mother and father, okay? And he said, you're born in between them. Yourself is born in between them. And it grows and matures through their love and their nurturing. And it's your job to give back to father what is father's and to mother what is mother's, right? So the process of growing up is the process of surrendering the things of our ego. I think we're living in an interesting age. I think we're living in an age where it seems, in my personal anecdotal experience here in the West, whether it's Western Europe or in the States, there's a huge swath of the younger generation that is being raised entirely outside of what the postmodernists call a meta-narrative, an overarching religious or philosophical structure that gives meaning and purpose to life, against which the kids can rebel, but also incorporate to enrich their own lives or move beyond and find new meta-narratives to structure, shape, and enrich their lives. We are in kind of what I've heard people call a meaning crisis or a spiritual crisis. I have noticed a tendency for everything to be medicalized, like all of one's problems are mental health issues. You know, we don't like the term spiritual, and I get that, and I understand that. I also feel like when we reduce everything to, say, everything that's going on inside of young people to just a mental health concern, then I feel like we have a solution to that, and the pharmaceutical companies provide it. It's a pill. Take this pill, kid. You'll get better. Then take this other pill to balance that pill's side effects out. Take this third pill. Now just open your mouth, and we're going to put a funnel in. We're just going to start pouring vitamins down your mouth until you're spiritually whole. That's a very... I understand some people absolutely need meds. Absolutely. But let's say the meds get you healthy and straight, then what? Right? We still have to, I believe and feel and have experienced, live in a way where we're becoming part of the universe again and surrendering as best we can our clenched, crabbed, snail shell, animalistic, selfish, egoic notions. We have to have a path through life, or we just go around in circles, or we wander and get lost. And Zen practice provided me with a very nice path. In closing, I wrote some notes here. Yeah, so here's the deal. Here's what I would say to the young child who's out there right now, or the adult who is maybe feeling that impulse towards self-harm. I think there's truth in that impulse. I think there's truth in it. I think there's truth in the sometimes the flicker of the desire for self-harm. I think there's the scream of truth is coming up, of transcendence, right? But and even when one wishes to end one's life, I think that is one of the most truest spiritual impulses, but it's not to be acted on, ending one's life. That's the exact wrong lesson to take away from it. And I don't know about the whole self-harm thing and cutting oneself and creating a book written in a personal language made of scars upon one's skin. I'm not so sure what that's all about necessarily, and I'm not speaking against it. I will just say this, kids, if that impulse arises within you and it's very, very strong, it's like a call. It's like a call from the heart of the forest. Enter the forest. Enter the forest. And you do that by sit in a quiet place. Just sit down. Sit down on a cushion. We do it in Zen. We sit on cushions. Sit on a chair. Lock the door. Get quiet and alone. And sit with yourself. And that pain is going to scream inside you. Scream for your blood. Cut your arm, cut your thigh, give me blood. And you sit with it. 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 And see what that scream becomes. See what it tells you. I know it's hard because the scream reverberates throughout your body. It shakes your skeleton, it bursts your blood vessels, it drives your mind crazy, it flushes demons up from the bottom of your soul. It flushes them all up. Like you're like Buddha under the Bodhi tree, tempted by Mara, the demon god. You're a Buddha. And you're not going to have this sort of fresh, innocent, rebellious energy forever. You're going to become an old middle-aged man like moi, you know? So use that energy while you've got it. I don't know if cutting your arms is a good or a bad idea. That's not my thing. But I do feel like you can do something else with that energy. Because that energy is like the call from that mother principle and that father principle. It's the call to egolessness and to fulfillment, which is your birthright, not happiness. We don't get to be happy. We don't get happiness. Happiness is like a byproduct that comes and goes, you know? Our job is to become part of the universe again by outgrowing that snakeskin of the ego. Then of course we get a new ego, and we outgrow that. That's the path to true adulthood. True adulthood is not some middle-aged guy in a Hawaiian shirt on the beach reading a Dan Brown novel and yelling at his kids and yelling at his wife, you know. True adulthood is not what you see. That's just society. Okay, that's all. If you'd like to support this channel, you can go right here to patreon.com/showsonjackhobner. Within the video description, there's also a one-time donation link to PayPal. I really appreciate the help that you all give to keep this channel going. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I offer these things for free, and I always will until I'm reached para-nirvana, the ultimate state of enlightenment, which is death. But until then, I'm going to keep rocking here with you. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit notifications, and please tell me any thoughts you might have on this topic in the comments section below. I appreciate it, friends. Until next time, ciao.